Hello, welcome to this week's episode of A Star to Steer Her By. It's a special one this week, because this week is 10 Forward number 40.
Woo!
And it's fanfic time, my favorite time of year. Normally we hit on Star Trek Day, but this year we were still doing Enterprise, which was a mistake. But
Just
now,
in general.
Don't worry guys, we have much better Enterprise for you. Because we
I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah.
Fuck you, mine is amazing.
Aw, okay, I'm jazzed. I love doing this every year. It gives me an excuse to write things because otherwise I'm bad without a deadline. So, here we are, we're doing Enterprise fanfics. As always, you know, this is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
Jake.
And Chair.
And we're going to be all kinds of characters today, because some of us are going to read you things, we're going to have our character lists, and it's going to be super fun. I'm just going to dive fucking in.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Does anyone badly need to go first, or shall we use the Wheel of Names?
Let's wheel it.
Wheel it up.
Wheeling it. All right, so we're using Wheel of Names, and we're going to click the spin, and we're going to watch the spinny spin.
Woo!
Oh, I didn't turn it on mute, but you can hear it spinning.
Great.
Great, Caitlin's
Good.
going first.
Your expectations, hopefully, are low.
Ooh, and it applauds. It
Wow,
applauds when we
that
have
is-
someone
That
on
is way too much pressure. So, this fanfiction was written on toilet paper while I was in prison. No. So, readers, I know that you know by now that I am absolutely useless. And this is no exception. So
You also forgot that it was today, I believe.
yeah, I
Watched a movie she didn't have
I
to
watched
watch.
a movie I didn't need to watch, which means I now have to watch Into Darkness a third time.
Oh no,
Which-
that's way too many times.
Anyway, this is fanfic day.
This is fanfic day.
Yeah,
so
I'll
this
look forward to
fanfiction
hearing about that soon.
Who were your people?
My people were Malcolm and Trip and Feasel and or Tara.
Okay.
This is so rough. It's so rough. The idea is good, and I think the ending is going to make everybody go, "Oh,
Aww.
yeah."
I'm sorry. Aww.
Oh, yeah. No, it's gonna be a bad feeling. Not just because it's written shittily, and it's handwritten, so bear with me. Malcolm had wanted to get his life together ever since he met his future self and found he was still utterly alone.
Oh.
Yes, that sound, exactly.
Oh, I'm already hooked.
So when Tripp had suggested putting together some game shows like they had in the 20th century, Malcolm leapt at the chance to be a contestant on the dating game.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
God.
right. Now imagine how good this could have been.
Now I'm glad Tripp's dead for doing this to Malcolm.
He leapt at the chance to be a contestant. He wasn't thrown at the chance. He leapt because he didn't want to be utterly alone. He sat, dressed in his finest, in a chair, while behind a screen sat 3 potential dates. His role was to ask questions to determine who would be his ideal match. Mayweather was hosting,
Good.
both because he was the best looking and frankly got left out of a lot of the ship's shenanigans. And he introduced the show to the audience, and the entire crew. So they all showed up to watch Malcolm look like a ding-dong. Who can blame them? Bachelor number 1, said Malcolm. Thank goodness they had gotten rid of gendered language. What would your ideal first date be? I think an intimate evening together, a coffee date at a quiet, dark cafe, followed by a romantic concert, anything that gives us a chance to learn about each other and appreciate each other in beauty. Very nice, Malcolm said. I love that answer. Bachelor number 2, same question. Ideally, we'd begin by destroying our enemies, and would then celebrate by roasting meat on an open flame and feed each other by hand.
Hot.
Certainly an intriguing first date, said Malcolm, suddenly very afraid of Bachelor number 2. Bachelor number 3, same question. Well, drawled the third voice, I'd like to cook my date my favorite meal, fried catfish, mashed potatoes, collard greens. Then we'd watch a classic film and cuddle up together. Maybe something scary so I could hold you if you were afraid. Malcolm smiled in spite of himself. The voice was charming and friendly, and he knew he could trust that person with his life. After a few more questions, this is where I would have written more, by the way, Malcolm was somewhat embarrassed to ask, Bachelor number 1, we've been seeing each other for some time, and things have been getting hot and heavy. What would your ideal first time, making whoopee? And I have to go to my phone for this. This is the only thing I typed ahead of time. Bachelorette number 1's response. Well, the first time we make love, I'd want it to be somewhere quiet and private, so that when we reach our respective climaxes, we can be free with the pleasure we feel. Oh, and I'd want to make sure there was plenty of seating. My 5 husbands will want to watch, maybe even join if you're cool with that. I'm not sure about that, but I appreciate your candor, said Malcolm, now completely terrified of Bachelor number 1. Bachelor number 2, same question. After we defeated our enemies, still covered in their cooling blood, we throw ourselves to the floor of an ice cave and ravish each other. He was definitely afraid of Bachelor number 2. Bachelor number 3, same question. Well, I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer here, said Bachelor number 3. I think when the moment's right, you just know. And then you go where the spirit takes you. Well, that's just about all the time we have, said Mayweather. Malcolm, who do you choose for your special date for a private dinner prepared by chef?
Ooh.
He didn't even need a second to consider. Everyone seems lovely, he said, diplomatic. But I have to go with Bachelor number 3. Congratulations, Bachelor number 3! Before we bring him out, let's see who you didn't choose. For anyone worried that Mayweather was going to get more to do, that's all. Those are all his lines. Still more than he got in season 3. Bachelor number 1, it turned out, was Feasel, one of Phlox's many wives. Bachelor number 2 was Tara, an Andorian they had met once when they were working with Shran. I think she dies then, right? But
No.
Don't worry about it. Oh, good.
She's fine. She gets tortured by Shran a little bit.
Oh, well, she probably liked it. They probably then ravished each other on the floor of an ice cave. And now, let's meet your date. Bachelor number 3 was, who knows? Who knows it? Say it together at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Archer!
What did you say?
Sim.
Sim? No! Oh, ha, good. No, I wish. And what did you say?
Archer.
No! What did you say?
Me.
Yes, Jake!
No. Yeah, I said Trip.
You were right.
Yay!
Bachelor number 3 was Trip. Malcolm felt giddy. It should have always been Trip. He stood, and the 2 men embraced. Maybe now, Malcolm thought, the future would be brighter. Maybe now, 20 years ahead, he wouldn't be alone.
Aww,
But he
I
will,
love it.
because Trip dies.
Yes.
So, fuck everybody.
No, we
Fuck
decided.
that.
I know you missed our series wrap fucking nonsense. God damn that episode. But there are plenty of novels that say because it was a holodeck, that's not necessarily what fucking happened. Trip is alive.
Yeah,
Well-
I think we postulated that it could have been a video game that
Riker really sucked
that
at?
Riker was supposed to be playing, but he forgot that he had to interact with it, so it just played out in the worst way possible.
Well, thank you for making me fall more in love with Trip.
Oh, yeah. No, Trip,
I have
Trip
to say,
doesn't-
for something that you scrawled in like the 15 minutes before we started recording, very good.
It was in here. I had it. Like I said, literally, I
Yeah.
was like...
Well, when you type it up for Ames, you can add in those other questions.
I might do, honestly. Because I just, like... Basically, I went weeks without a good idea. Weeks. I was thinking about it. It was always right here. I was always trying to fucking think about what I would do. At one point, I thought, like, just be a fucking dirty prick like you usually are and just make it porn. And I was like, no, that's the easy way out. For me, anyway. So I was like, I don't want to do that. And this literally occurred to me, like, 8 hours ago.
Wow, this is
Like,
good.
literally.
It's a good
It's
idea.
a really
though.
good idea.
And like I regret that it's not more fleshed out, but I got all the laughs that I put in there I got, so I'm not mad about it.
What I love is, and the listeners don't know this, but by sheer coincidence, while she was writing this, the rest of us were talking about game shows, not knowing what her theme was.
I smirked to myself while that was happening a little bit, because I was like, haha, they don't know. This is verbal irony or something.
No, that was actually pretty great. All right, well,
Anyway,
Spin the wheel.
glad that I could get that out of the way, because
That was good.
everything else is going to be great.
All right, the wheel dictates what we're doing next. Wheel.
Chair!
And the answer is Chris.
All right.
Chris goes next.
Do you need me to read anything?
I do.
Oh, fuck. All right.
Oh, and it applauds. It applauds for you being Chris.
Is yours Entfic?
Yes. Oh, I didn't give it a title. Fuck. It's not about Ents, I promise.
It's too bad.
Damn it.
Who am I reading?
Ames. You'll be reading to Paul.
That's it?
Yep.
Great, easy. I can remember that.
Originally you had more, but I eventually had to give myself roles because people were talking to themselves too much. I originally was just going to do the prose, but it became impossible. Jake, Harry, and Time Daddy.
Okay.
Caitlin.
Yeah.
Gwen, the ship's computer, and the chief engineer.
Argyle.
I will be reading the general prose, Daniels, a crewman, and a CMO.
Oh, you're gonna be
Daniels.
busy, Chris.
No, honestly, aside from Daniels, like, the other two are literally like 1 or 2 lines each.
Mm.
And yes, the prose is a lot. Originally, I was just going to do the prose, but... Yeah, so mine is not a teleplay. It's a weird mix of prose and making everyone else do the lines.
Of pros and cons.
Ah.
One other... Can I say one more thing? Just
Yes.
briefly? The other thing is, while I was writing this, I really wanted to make it so Mayweather had no dialogue. But I didn't have time to be clever.
Ah.
So, anyway, but yes, I'm
This, I forgot, does not have a title at the moment. It will by the time Ames has to post it on the Tumblr.
Oh, so
You're gonna
Wednesday.
call it Tree
Yes.
Beard?
Wednesday you'll have a title.
Call it Treebeard. Really
Yeah.
throw him off.
All right, here we go. My Untitled Enterprise fic. My people were T'Pol, Time Daddy, and Daniels. Earth. Barely 125 years ago, its population had nearly wiped itself out in a global nuclear holocaust. But humans are stubborn and held on. Eventually, a particularly stubborn, half-mad drunkard of a human decided to turn an unused missile into the world's first warp-capable ship. And now Earth and its strange, stubborn populace found themselves as key players in a still-fledgling galactic alliance comprised of species that, a few decades before, had barely tolerated one another at best and wanted one another wiped out of existence at worst. Commander T'Pol stared down at that odd, illogical, maddening world, these thoughts and more swirling around. Her life had been calm, ordered, logical. Then an assignment to Earth came along. A microcosm of Vulcan history since first contact with humanity, really. She turned away from the window to the quarters that had been her room for the past decade. Serving as first officer of the USS Robinson, one of the last NX-class ships in service, had proved to be largely less unpredictable and hectic than her time on Enterprise, which, frankly, was welcome. While the Warp 7 explorers that had largely supplanted the class were out stretching the boundaries of knowledge and making introductions on behalf of the young Federation, T'Pol had found herself retracing old steps as the ship was assigned to a series of missions doing proper, longer-term surveys of areas her former ship had simply taken quick glances at on her initial voyages. But now even that sort of work needed something newer, something larger, something to be purpose-built rather than refit to work with all the new equipment. Strictly human equipment was regularly supplanted by the new breakthroughs brought about by cooperation between the still-growing Federation, and at this point it was easier to start over than jury-rig, much to the frustration of the engineers who loved the challenge of making seemingly incompatible systems function alongside one another. She had leave coming and had decided to take it for once to try and figure out what to do next. Vulcan was not the world she had been raised on and served for so long. Its rebuilding was going well enough, but if she was honest with herself, being a part of that process did not appeal. But did she belong as part of Starfleet anymore? She had been part of the Vulcan embassy on Earth for several decades before spending just as long exploring alongside humans. Yet Earth was similarly not a home. Her reverie was interrupted by a chime from her door. Commander Rivers, most likely. She had barely known him on Enterprise, and he had then transferred to Columbia shortly after the end of the Xindi mission. They had then found themselves both aboard the Robinson, and, as humans are often wont, used their very tenuous past association to continually make social overtures. She had, honestly, assumed perhaps his intentions were not purely friendly at first. Even after beginning to wear a Starfleet uniform instead of her standard Vulcan field jumpsuit, she had found unwanted attention brought her way by various crew members. But his discussions never even remotely veered that way. Mostly, the Xindi mission still seemed to haunt him, and having someone to discuss it with appeared to help. He also frequently told stories about Trip, which she had to admit was not unpleasant.
Come in.
When her door opened, however, she did not see the man she expected. He was not someone she knew from the ship at all, though he was in uniform.
May I help you, Commander?
Harry Kim, ma'am. May we speak privately?
Of course.
He stepped into her room, and the door slid shut behind him. He glanced around and pulled something from a sleeve pocket. It was a small silver disc that he pressed against the door. It chirped, and a small light came to life on it. T'Pol thought of her phaser, already packed away among the luggage on her bed.
What are you doing?
Giving us some privacy. Look, you might find this hard to believe.
In my time working regularly with humans, I have found many conversations begin in some fashion like this. And they often are very hard to believe, yet they also frequently end up somehow being true. So, Commander, what is your story?
The Federation is under attack. From the future!
Again?
Maybe? Temporal stuff is tricky, so it's a little hard to say if this is something new or actually part of the stuff you and Captain Archer dealt with before.
I frequently find myself wishing that the Vulcan Science Academy had been correct about time travel.
That's good.
Right now, I feel the same way. I've been bouncing all over time dealing with repeated attacks on the Federation's history across several timelines.
Excuse me?
Yeah, sorry. They're also wrong about the whole multiple universe thing.
Is this where you tell me you are from one of them?
No, I'm actually from your future, early 25th century specifically, but not everyone I work with is.
I doubt it is my assistance you require, then.
I've read your file. I'm sure you'd be a great asset, but you're right. I'm actually here to protect you. Someone is after you. We haven't worked out why exactly. The attacks are, well, they don't make sense. They seem to vary from broad-ranging to very narrow. The goal seems to be the utter destruction of the Federation at one moment, and then just very specific people the next. It's, if you'll forgive me, damned illogical.
What happens next, then?
Well, the plan for now is just to get you out of here to a safe house. Well, between timelines.
She stared for a long moment at this odd man. She wanted to disbelieve him. Deeply. Yet her past experiences forced her to conclude that his story had at least some merit. He could, of course, still be a madman or a liar, but she could not simply write him off entirely. Had the universe always been so damned odd, and everyone had just forced themselves to ignore it?
Yes.
Was this somehow also the result of humanity upending everything?
Also, yes.
She decided that she would, to quote many of her human colleagues over the years, play along.
Fine. I was already scheduled for leave, so I am not needed by anyone at the moment. What is next?
A wide smile blossomed across the commander's face, and he plucked the disc off her door.
I'll stick with you until you disembark. I've got a ship just out of temporal phase in orbit that'll get us to the safe house. Want help with your things?
Thank you, yes.
They gathered her luggage and made their way to the door. It opened, but before they could step through, they both stopped short. Rather than one of the Robinsons' corridors, they were staring out over a field somewhere. They both turned, and the field was now behind them as well. The Robinson was gone.
Daniels.
Who the hell are you?
It's a good Daniels.
You little rat fuck.
Huh?
T'Pol turned to face this newest voice, and even she could not help but allow a very small groan to escape. She had only personally met him once, looking much the worse for wear, but she still recognized him in his unharmed form.
Commander, meet Crewman Daniels. He was continually haranguing Captain Archer during his temporal Cold War.
That would explain the stupid outfit.
Wait, Harry Kim, what are you doing here?
I would have perhaps expected you to already be acquainted.
The temporal Cold War is one of the biggest headaches across a couple different universes. Two fringe factions.
Fringe? Now you see here!
You people just decided on your own how best to handle everything.
And what authority do you represent, The Temporal Integrity Commission? The Travelers?
Wallace Shawn, is that you?
Your people have an agenda. We're just interested in keeping things as undisturbed as possible. Of course, you made a proper timeline impossible.
Gentlemen, I have already witnessed far too many human pissing contests, I'm sure that's supposed to say,
Yes.
in my time than I would care to consider, and I am likely to come across many, many more, despite my hopes. So do please kindly resolve this one before I am forced to resolve it for you.
Hell yeah.
Sorry.
Fine. We probably want the same thing anyway. Someone's after you, T'Pol.
Yes, Commander Kim has informed me.
And I plan to get her to safety. And I had a plan to get her to safety that you interrupted.
Which he had the decency to share with me first, whereas you, crewmen, have kidnapped us. You will forgive me if that makes me somewhat distrustful of you.
Well,
If you wish to regain some of that trust, you shall return us to the Robinson. If Commander Kim is amenable, you may accompany us.
Fine by me.
All right. Okay. Sure.
Please tell me Daniels talks a lot more.
Sadly, not too much.
Damn it!
Oh.
The air suddenly shifted from fresh to filtered, and T'Pol was again looking at one of the Robinsons' familiar hallways. Harry was next to her. Her things were again in both their arms. Daniel stood nearby, out of his bizarre jumpsuit in a Starfleet uniform. T'Pol gave him a curt nod, and then the trio made their way to the transporter room. The ship was like nothing T'Pol had ever seen. All the surfaces were smooth and white, with the appearance of plastic, but a feeling that was not. What it did feel like was somewhat harder to explain. The crew were in a variety of uniforms, though most wore some variant or another of an arrowhead-shaped pin. This isn't from your time.
Not from any of ours. We got it from another timeline, roughly late 24th century, but because of alterations made in that universe's mid-23rd, some of her tech is more advanced than things I was used to in my own. And some of what's under the hood is bits and pieces from all across times and universes.
Under the hood?
Sorry, got that from Tom.
They made their way to a turbolift and were soon on the bridge. Though still a strange, bright place, there were aspects T'Pol was used to. A big central chair, a variety of consoles around the edge, and a pair up front. There were 2 chairs flanking the captain's chair, which was the only unusual part. Still, plainly Starfleet design ethos. A woman of a species T'Pol did not recognize turned and nodded to Kim.
Captain, welcome back. I see you were successful. Who's the extra crewmate?
Daniels, as in temporal Cold War Daniels.
Oh.
Pleasure to meet you, too.
Commander T'Pol, my first officer, Gwendala.
Call me Gwen. We're going to keep you safe, Commander. Don't you worry.
Thank you.
Harry took his seat, and Gwen sat in one of the side ones. While he looked quite natural there, T'Pol could not help but be struck by how much his uniform, her uniform, clashed with the surroundings. Though plainly from a variety of eras, there was a much less utilitarian look to all of them. A Starfleet more relaxed, a Federation more stable, perhaps? She was, for one of the few times in her life, feeling vaguely self-conscious.
All right, let's get going. Set a course out of the system maximum warp. Once we're out of sensor range, we'll engage the skip.
Aye, Captain.
Commander T'Pol, feel free to take a seat. Or would you prefer a tour?
I can remain here.
Fine by me.
How about me?
Gee, only the one extra seat. Sorry. You can head to the galley if you'd like.
I'll just stand here if that's all right by you.
Just fine, Daniels. Just fine.
All right.
That's it. She sat and cleared her mind as best she could. The day had taken a turn she should not in any way have appreciated. And yet, so long alongside humans, was a part of her actually enjoying this? She suddenly recalled her elder self advising her on emotions. It felt so much longer ago than it was, and it had truly been quite some time ago now. Did she still exist somewhere, perhaps? Perhaps some new thread existed where that other enterprise lived on. All those lives and families, including her own. There was a small chirrup from Gwyn's chair interrupting T'Pol's reverie.
Captain, word from engineering. We're going to need a little extra time to get the skip up and running. We had a small power surge at one point, and it put some strain on the EPS relays. The chief is trying to get it all straightened out.
Any idea what caused it?
We were almost knocked out of phase at one point. We weren't sure what it was before, but, well, it likely had to do with our unexpected guest.
Well, since I've a moment, I'm going to change. Gwen, you've got the con. Daniels, maybe get a tour or something. I'd prefer you to be anywhere else when I get back.
Harry strolled onto the turbolift. After a moment of strained silence where everyone save T'Pol pointedly did not look at Daniels, he ducked out via the other shaft. Gwen made her way back to the central chair.
Is it normal for reports to come in that way?
What do you mean?
Relayed to you and then to the captain. Why did engineering simply not call up here?
Oh, internal comms are being a bit twitchy, probably related to the same surge.
I see.
Whatever Gwen's species was, there was definitely some telepathy to them. It was not a kind T'Pol could ever remember encountering before. It could be that it was for something terribly specific. Even so, it made reading her easier than when dealing with non-telepaths. She was not being honest. Yet there was no malice. Sadness? Worth noting, perhaps. Kim returned a while later, dressed in a uniform with red shoulders and a glinting silver badge laid atop 2 black bars. So many variants. She wondered how many time periods and dimensional branches they represented. It was entirely possible that despite their entirely different uniforms, Gwen and Harry could well be from the same branch, merely separated by years rather than the unknowable gulf that separated realities. The ship made its destination in short order, and the captain made small talk as they waited for word that the skip was ready to be used. T'Pol had inferred that this would be what would get them between realities, and Kim confirmed it without her asking. A variant on something called a spore drive, he said, which he admitted even he didn't fully understand. There was another message from engineering, again via text that Gwen received, that the skip was ready to go.
Right. Get ready for skip. Gwen?
All crew to skip jump stations. Black alert. Black alert. Black alert.
Nice.
Thank you, Chris.
Literally put that in for you.
My heart. Thank you.
I should warn you, Commander. The sensation can be intense. Brace yourself.
Skip in 3, 2, 1.
T'Pol had heard humans often discuss their first time transporting, or times going at high warp with lower-powered inertial dampeners, or the first time they were in zero gravity. They seemed so thrilled to compare and contrast experiences. It was something she had never understood. But now, perhaps, after being on a ship that was diving through the barriers of reality, she could somewhat understand. She had no words in any language she knew to describe what it felt like. She could not say it was pleasant nor unpleasant. It simply was. She was nowhere and everywhere at once. She could smell time and taste her neurons firing as she struggled to make sense of what she was feeling. The moment was instantaneous and forever. It was the first time she had her emotions unleashed by Trillium D. It was her mother dying in her arms. It was the anguish at seeing what had become done to Pajem. It was Jazz. It was Trip's hands on the small of her back. It was the emptiness of his quarters on that last day.
Skip successful. Stand down, Black Alert.
Are you alright, T'Pol?
She looked up at the view screen and looked away almost immediately. She was not recovered enough from the jump to try and comprehend the space between realities.
Of course. Thank you for your concern.
It's never not at least a little strange, I'm afraid. But I'm told the first time is the worst.
You are told.
It's a long story, but these kinds of things affect me less. Most of the crew, in fact, we're all kind of refugees in somewhat from other times and places. Gives us sort of a natural sympathy with crossing barriers like that.
Sick bay to the bridge.
Yes, Doctor.
Got someone calling himself Daniels here with a pretty nasty case of skip bends. Is he really supposed to be here?
Supposed to? No. But he is, unfortunately. You can go ahead and treat him.
Right, sick bay out.
I see the internal comms have also been repaired.
Were they down?
Yes, sir. Why do you think I had to relay engineering's message to you?
Oh, yeah. Didn't even occur to me. Anyway, let's get to...
Suddenly a horrid klaxon split the air and red lights began to flash. The mood of the entire bridge shifted in a way T'Pol was all too familiar with. A tactical alert was, it seems, a tactical alert.
Right, what have we got?
Someone else has skipped in, sir. I think it's Romulan?
Romulan? Do we have a bead on its origin point?
Quantum signature suggests deviation 0.03, 28th century.
What does this mean?
The timeline you and I come from. Far future for both of us, except there isn't purely Romulan technology by then. Anyway, it doesn't... It shouldn't... Bridge to sickbay.
Sickbay here.
Get Daniels up here. I don't care what state he's in.
Nebraska.
Moments later, Daniels was on the bridge, looking quite the worse for wear. Apparently all his time travel had not prepared him for the strain of jumping into a space between realities. What's going on?
28th century Romulan tech followed us here from our timeline. Any ideas? Because if I recall...
That's impossible. The war ended. She was apprehended.
Oh, shit.
Yes.
Mail coming in, sir.
Put it on.
The screen came to life with a swirling, dark apparition standing among a bridge that was blurred and distorted. T'Pol had never seen this figure, but it had it explained to her by Archer in enough detail. The leader of some side of the temporal Cold War. One directly opposed to Daniels.
Give me the Vulcan! You're going to have to be more specific. There's 34 on this ship. Not that you're getting anyone from my crew. Do not toy with me, Captain. You know very well I mean Commander T'Pol. And you know I'm not going to just let you run rampant across time. Don't you understand? I'm going to save time. Its greatest enemy has to be destroyed.
Something's wrong. You're not Sailor.
What?
I don't know who that is, but that's not Sailor's rhetoric. Someone stole her ship, but that's not her.
Ah, Mr. Daniels. Thank you so much for your assistance.
What?
I knew if I let just enough information out, you'd come running. So unable to resist meddling when you think you know better.
I love that this is just Dark Helmet from Spaceballs at this point.
I tried so hard to not have anyone talk to themselves, I forgot about this one scene.
That's okay.
I'm loving that also.
Daniels, you damned! Don't be too harsh on him, Captain. He was an unwitting pawn. A man so loaded down with gadgetry that in that idiot suit of his that hiding an interphasic tracker within its endless sea of gizmos and doodads that he would never notice was entirely too simple. I never should have let you tag along. Now to business. T'Pol. Now! Not a chance! Captain, my ship is more advanced than even your fascinating little mishmash of bits and pieces from across timelines, and yours has that same simple, fatal Federation flaw. You believe that everyone eventually can be reasoned with, so you are never as ruthlessly armed as you need to be. A flaw the Romulans do not have.
The signal suddenly cut out, and within moments the ship was rocking as weapons lashed out from the massive green vessel that filled most of the view screen and that T'Pol only got a brief look at. She gripped the arms of her chair and pressed herself into it even as Kim shouted orders, and the vessel began to spiral into evasive maneuvers.
Engineering, reroute everything you can spare to shields and weapons.
Kinda figured you'd be asking for that, Captain. Already doing it.
No, that is not fair.
I'm sorry, T'Pol. It's why we had radio silence from engineering earlier.
I need to know what we're up against here. What are your scans showing?
It's hard to say. Something's making it almost impossible to... Another massive strike and a blast cut the crewman off. T'Pol was thrown towards the deck and thought she heard shields are down right before she felt the familiar sensation of a transporter's grip. The ship she had been on was replaced by a large gray space. She slowly pushed herself up and was perplexed when she lifted her hand and watched several copies of it have to catch up with itself. She heard a footstep that echoed oddly and looked over to see the dark figure from the view screen standing on a glowing plinth.
Commander T'Pol.
Was Daniels correct? Are you not the same person who continually harassed Enterprise?
The little fool isn't right about much, but he did figure that out.
The figure stepped from the plinth, revealing a rather square-faced human that T'Pol did not know. Unsurprising, of course, but the way the day had been going, it was almost a relief to have a logical outcome to a scenario.
My name is Captain Braxton, and I need you to help me save time. I don't know why he talks like that.
I love it, though.
Works for me.
It seems the simplest way to do that would be to simply eliminate me?
No, none of you understand.
He lifted his arms, and T'Pol realized whatever had been causing these strange time distortions in the room had stopped. She slowly brought herself to her feet as he went on.
Look, there's no way to ever restore a non-deviated timeline. It's impossible. But I can bring us back to 0.0001 deviation if I just eliminate her. Do you understand how close that is to actual time?
As I am from a period with very little research into time travel, no. No, I do not.
It would be so easy to just cut off branches entirely to stop her. But that just makes a worse timeline. I have finally figured it out. All it took was Krenim algorithms and temporal Cold War records. I have figured out how to change it all with the tiniest flux. I just need you to dissuade one man from joining Starfleet in 50 years. His career will end up basically meaningless in the grand scheme of things, but his friendship with another cadet leads to two people meeting and having a child. This leads to a series of children who history will largely not miss. but then it leads to her.
And who is this woman you so despise?
Catherine goddamn Janeway. In the whole history of Starfleet, I can find no one who cared less about the delicate nature of time, the endless fractures, deviations, rewrites. She has brought the fabric of reality to its breaking point more than once. I'm pretty sure I can blame the Mirror Universe on one of her damn jaunts. I hate the Mirror Universe, Commander. Of all the realities, it's the least sane. You're a Vulcan. You would understand if you saw it. It's illogical, Commander. The peak of illogical. And she caused it.
I am sorry for your frustration.
Look, I'm being reasonable. I have merely knocked power out to Captain Kim's ship. In a few hours, they'll be fine. No one has to die. I just need you to remember a name, a star date, and promise me that you'll do this one thing.
Logically, I cannot actually prove I will follow through on my promise, so by extension, I cannot believe you are going to be so magnanimous.
I'm not bound by normal time like you. I can simply check before you leave to see if you did what I ask.
And if I do not? It would seem your only recourse is to kill me. You do not strike me as an entirely stable individual, Captain.
I was very stable, Commander. Ordered, calm, a fine officer. Janeway, though. Janeway ruined everything!
So you say. But I know nothing of future history. Her importance to the timeline may outweigh whatever it is you so fear.
I really thought I could make you understand. Vulcans can think past base emotions so often. I figured you, of all the threads, would see the importance of...
Suddenly there was a familiar sparkle behind Braxton, and the madman spun around just in time to see Trip materialize. T'Pol felt her breath catch in her throat. His hair was a little different, his uniform a darker shade of blue, almost veering towards purple, and his rank pips copper rather than silver. But undeniably a Trip. He took aim with a weapon of some kind.
But I knocked out your power!
Shuttles ain't on the ship's grid.
He fired, and the beam cut right through Braxton.
Ah!
Trip no, not that kind of through. Like,
No.
I'll fix that.
never mind.
Like phase
Passed
yeah.
through.
Trip glanced, surprised, at his pistol and looked up just in time to see Braxton lunging at him. A slight haze passed over the bigger man right before he rammed into Trip, and they both tumbled to the ground. The weapon Trip had been holding skittered away, vanishing behind a console. T'Pol was dashing over to it in a moment.
Computer, mode 4!
Reality bent again. T'Pol was suddenly outrunning herself, and behind herself. She was still on the floor. She was grabbing for the phaser. Her breath was catching in her throat. She was doing mental calculations that would make even other Vulcans blanch. She was firing. The gun was in her hand. Braxton was collapsing onto the floor. She was shouting for Trip to duck. The beam appeared. Braxton was shoved into the path of the beam. She stood. Her selves coalesced for a moment. She fired at that damn plinth. There was a small puff of smoke, and, suddenly, everything snapped back into place.
Man, this stuff never gets any easier.
I imagine it does not.
There was a pause. The two of them just looked at one another.
I know you're not her. The T'Pol I knew, I mean. And I ain't the Trip you knew.
No.
Still, it's nice to see you. You, I guess. Yeah.
Why have you not seen me?
Well, from what Captain Kim tells me, we had very similar final missions on Enterprise. Only I guess I did in your universe what you did in mine. I mean, the how sounds a little different, but either way, you saved Captain Archer and the whole damn ship with what you did.
Fucking Archer, man.
Yeah, he sucks, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I see. It is also nice to see you. You.
Yeah. Thanks for the help. My rescue mission went kind of sideways.
I believe, just like the old times, would apply here nicely.
Yeah. We should probably get back to the Reliant. Captain will be wanting to get things all tied up here, then get you home.
Of course.
There was another, even longer pause. And then they ran to one another.
Oh, I love that.
Cuties.
The end.
Yay.
Yay!
Finally, the Braxton we all wanted.
Yay! Crazy Braxton killing Janeway. or
Remind me who
something.
Braxton is?
He was the time captain, the captain of the Relativity who went crazy and tried
Because
to
of
blow up
Janeway.
Voyager.
I don't remember that at all.
It's the one where Duquesne drafted Seven into the, like, go back to Voyager before it launched.
And Jerry Ryan gets to wear a Starfleet uniform for a day.
And
Oh, is that the one where
Great.
she's jumping all over time? And
Yes.
shit?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good episode. So that I don't know.
Yeah, the guy, the villain of that episode is Braxton.
But I had to...
But future Braxton.
Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Time Braxty.
Yes.
I like Time Braxton. That's
so,
good.
So like this for the I guess you'll see it if you look at the Tumblr. When you look at the Tumblr, but up to the point where Braxton is revealed, he's listed as Time Daddy, and then once he is revealed to be Braxton, he's listed as Time Braxty, which I thought was great.
Very
good.
nice.
But I had to put
He's
in...
got that Time Brussy.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I had to put in a nod to Jake's theory that Time Daddy was Sela. Sela, rather.
I was like, oh, it's coming. It's oh.
So I've decided...
I appreciated the
Time Daddy
kind of wank about it,
was...
though.
Yeah, Time Daddy was Sela.
And then
Now it's my preferred Time Daddy.
Which is Braxton.
So they were both.
I appreciate that. I think it was
That
cool.
was really great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was a little bit there there was that for you. There was, shitting on the Mirror Universe for Ames.
I appreciate that, too.
The computer actually saying Black Alert for
My
Caitlin.
favorite, thank you.
The one
And
thing that...
Gwen, who we love.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Which
sorry, I
Gwen,
know
who
I
the fuck
didn't do
knows?
Gwen a
Gwen.
lot of justice. So.
That's fine. I will say the early idea I'd had, which was abandoned, this was originally where this story started, was T'Pol defeating Captain Braxton and saying the Vulcan Science Academy is determined that you're a little bitch. But then the story went a different way.
Why did you? God damn it!
I like that. I like the idea that the crew of the Reliant are all people who are like displaced from reality, like Kim having come from the other Voyager.
Yeah, it's a semi-sequel to my Voyager one where Kim is drafted.
Mhm.
Links below.
And the calling just the chief engineer the chief was implying maybe it's just O'Brien again
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he
yeah,
also
that's right.
passes through time.
with Molly.
That's clever. Yeah, I like. So now you just kind of have your own little cinematic universe of fanfics.
And I also wanted to
Time
show
travels.
Rick Berman how you maybe do a story that connects Enterprise to the larger universe while still making it about an Enterprise character.
Yeah,
You
there
idiot.
Idiots.
All right, let's spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel. So we removed Chris from the wheel, so now it's just me and Jake.
Oh no.
Here we go. Spin, spin, spin. And it's me!
Yay!
No, I
The
mean-
two longest ones in a row.
I don't think... Is yours that long, Jake?
Mine's very short.
Jake's is very short.
No, but mine and yours
Yeah.
are.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Mine is even longer.
Is yours? Do we have to read or are we just listening?
Oh, we're
You
reading.
are reading like crazy, Chris.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
And I hope it makes... I hope you understand what I mean by the characters I've given you, and don't fuck up. Alright, so we're gonna get started in. I'm sorry, it is my longest one yet. It is 3 times the length that we usually aim for, but fuck that.
Wow.
So my draws were Phlox and or Reed. I went with Phlox, and I'm very sorry, Reed. But god damn it, it just made sense. And my draft picks were Eric Sung and the repair station from Dead Stop. We are titled Station Repair Thyself. Teaser, The Prison. Exterior, establishing shot. The Harris Maximum Security Rehabilitation Center of San Francisco, a high-tech facility with obviously complex security checkpoints and futuristic scanning capabilities. Interior, Guard 1 and Guard 2 sit behind a desk at a checkpoint with various screens of prison locations streaming through footage behind them. They pick occasionally from a bowl of futuristic candy that looks something like everlasting gobstoppers.
Ooh, delicious.
Do you have any next to kid?
Didn't they all get killed?
I did, but I mean direct next of kin?
Brock Sampson?
Ooh.
Doubt it.
That's a shame. No one to carry on his work.
No, not that. That's a bad thing.
Phlox approaches in that shuffly walk of his. The two guards look at each other, then pick up the candy dish from the desk and hide it in a drawer. Phlox notices this and cocks his head.
Afternoon, officers.
Doctor, didn't realize you were here already. Didn't we just call you in?
I was in the area, attending to personal matters.
I love your flocks.
This is so good.
It's been a minute, so I'm kind of like trying to find it.
Everything check out?
No signs of foul play?
I'm afraid there's nothing new I can tell you. My evaluation confirms the initial report. Cause of death was an anaphylactic reaction to ingestion of food.
Ingestion of food?
What did he eat?
Peanut butter.
He was allergic to peanut butter?
It would seem so. I don't understand why you needed to call me here to verify such an obvious assessment. Any medical scanner could do it.
He requested you specifically as his forensic pathologist in the events of his death.
He did. When was this?
Recently, I'm sure. Yeah, just last month he updated his documentation.
Lucky me. Even in death, he ropes me into his mayhem. Well, if that will be all, accept my sympathies, though frankly I won't miss that deviant.
Not many will.
I found him cordial enough.
He's calling someone a deviant? I'd say that was all part of his deception. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, officers.
You as well, Doctor.
Guard 1 holds out the tablet to Phlox, who looks at it quizzically for a moment before pressing his handprint onto it. Guard 1 nods and gestures at the first of several gates that lead to the exit. Phlox passes through it. There's a pause. Then a green light turns on and the next gate opens up. Phlox continues through it and out of sight. The first gate closes as the 2 guards take their candy bowl back out. Suddenly, Guard 3 runs up, having clearly sprinted from somewhere far off. Did he get out? Did I miss him?
Who?
Who did you just release?
That denobulan doctor.
Dr. Fox.
We made sure to save our snacks from him. Do you want some?
You morons! Don't you know who that was you just let walk right past you?
Huh?
Dr. Eric Sung! He's still alive! Dramatic music.
Been a long road.
Nope. We're skipping the theme song, actually. It's for the best.
Oh, what a shock.
Chapter 1. The Repair Station. Exterior, space. Several days later, a denobulan shuttlecraft that has clearly borne some recent attack damage is flying around. Interior, the man who appears to be Phlox, but is in fact Sung, is piloting the shuttlecraft shoot through space. His appearance as the denobulan may be slightly more human than it was in the teaser. He starts recording a log. He no longer sounds like Phlox, sorry Caitlin,
That's okay.
but just like himself now.
To whoever has found this message, congratulations. You're the first to hear what may be the final words of that infamous mad scientist who's certainly all over the news.
Wow.
Milk my renown for all I'm worth. You have my permission.
Oh my god.
It's just my luck. I brilliantly escaped from prison by faking my own death using a mix of non-lethal pathogens I pocketed from a quick stay at Cold Station 12. Alter my DNA to that of a trusted physician who had the misfortune of meeting me once and whose biological sample I'd adapted into a genetic resequencer. And hitch a ride off of Earth on a denobulan vessel. All to get attacked by Nausicaan pirates who did not seem particularly partial to my charms. So here I lay, where you've undoubtedly found me, in a stolen denobulan shuttlecraft I cunningly nabbed from right under their snooty noses. By the time you lay eyes on what is left of me, my appearance should be my own again, which is for the best. I'm already getting tired of looking at it like a spotted pufferfish. On the off chance you're scientifically minded enough to keep my legacy going, let me give you a crash course in genetics, and maybe you can pick up where I...
Something beeps! A hail from a nearby vessel!
Fuck that, I'm saved! Computer, delete log.
Sung boops a button.
Aren't you a sight for sore eyes? I appreciate your response to my hail.
How may we be of assistance?
One glance at my vessel would show you I'm shot to hell and running low on life support. So I suppose I could use a lift. I could also use a hot dinner, a glass of whiskey, and a blowjob, if I'm being honest. But without the former, the latter would cease to be a problem.
Won't permit signal breaking up.
I'm barely reading you. Can you repeat that?
Transmitting coordinates. Repair station.
Could you identify yourselves, please? Hello? Hello?
His console lights up with coordinates and a flight plan.
Well, I'll have to put my dancing shoes on. It looks like I've got a hot date tonight.
Scene changes to exterior sometime later. The stolen shuttlecraft limps into a berth on a futuristic repair station. Interior, Sung attempts to hail the station, attempting an imperfect Phlox impression. Oh boy, there's layers here, Jay. Good luck.
This is Dr. Phlox of the Denobulan Doctoral Exchange Program. My vessel is badly in need of repairs. Please respond.
Not to interrupt, but that is Janice from the Muppets.
I was kind of thinking Pauly Shore a little bit.
Oh, wow.
It's the Leaning Tower of Cheese.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Fabulous. Okay.
Bodacious. Totally sweet repair station.
A totally bodacious pause, and then a flash of light passes over the shuttlecraft and everything inside it. Sung watches it with a combination of trepidation and curiosity. A tractor beam then pulls the shuttlecraft into an open hangar bay. When it has settled into the bay, the doors behind it close, and the lights in the hangar bay change to a friendly, sterile white.
I suppose that's one way to say hello.
Sung tentatively leaves the shuttle, relieved to breathe air that's not as stale as that in the shuttlecraft.
A welcoming committee, though.
He makes his way down the pristine white walkway that we'll recognize from Dead Stop until he's reached the diagnostic room, which is displaying data all over the place, including little holographic recreations of his shuttlecraft and of himself, not as his Phlox disguise, but as Sung.
I suppose the cat's out of the bag. Just as well, I'm not sure how long I could have kept up pretending to be that Denobulan sycophant. I'd love it if you could show yourselves, though. It's only polite.
The holographic image of the shuttlecraft enlarges with little circles and arrows and stuff pointing at all the things that need repairing. The repair station speaks in that nonchalant female voice of hers.
The analysis of your vessel is complete. No acceptable method of compensation exists. Vacate this station.
Method of compensation? Oh, I can pay you. Just not up front. I got robbed, you see.
No acceptable method of compensation exists. Vacate this station, or your vessel will be compromised.
My vessel is already compromised. I won't make it another day in that tin can.
No acceptable method of compensation exists. Vacate
I
this
heard
station.
you the first time. Haven't you heard of haggling?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
You're an artificial life form, aren't you? Well, this could get interesting. I'm actually looking to expand my study of to artificial life forms. Maybe I could help you out. Would you like that?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Not one for conversation, eh? Listen, I don't have access to payment right now, but I can make it up to you in services. You clearly know who I am.
He gestures at the display of his identification on one of the hovering screens.
You can put 2 and 2 together and see that my expertise could benefit you. You scratch my back.
The holographic image of Sung's face with all of its life signs and specs replaces the one of his shuttlecraft. Lines of data stream quickly over it.
I have contacts all over the quadrant. I can get you anything you want. I could, for instance, upgrade your responses to sound more personable.
The stream of data slows until we can clearly see some correspondence between Dr. Lucas and Dr. Phlox that we might recognize as their pen pal letters.
Oh, that. I have some files from some Starfleet doctor from Cold Station 12. He's partly the reason I have this rather unbecoming appearance at the moment. I guess he was pen pals with the Denobulan doctor, and I'm not proud of this, but I lured the guy to...
The data stream suddenly stops and the holographic image closes. A new screen replaces it with text and a big Approve button.
A method of compensation has been selected. Approve the selection to begin the repair process.
This is what you want, eh? What use could you possibly have for... And again, who am I to argue? Approved.
Make the necessary arrangements for the delivery of the approved goods as soon as possible.
Now we're getting somewhere. I think we're going to be good friends, you and me.
The screen focuses on the offer from the repair station that Sung has agreed to. We now see that it reads, 1 mating pair, Lycerian desert larvae. The scene fades to commercial. Chapter 2, The Mimetic Symbiote. Interior, the repair station's recreation area, sometime later. Sung's appearance is his normal Brent Spiner self by now. He's eating a dinner of plomeek soup and reading something on a tablet.
I think I'm starting to wrap my mind around your artificial intelligence framework. This is going to be extremely beneficial for my research if I want to expand my practice into cybernetics. Oh, I wonder, what will be the best way to incorporate my expertise in genetics? I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Maybe something with biomechanical elements would prove an interesting challenge.
Please proceed to the science laboratory.
We've really got to work on your communication skills, my dear. Would it help if I could call you a name? Computer seems a little impersonal to me.
Your inquiry was not recognized. Please proceed to the science laboratory.
Sung starts down the halls to the science lab.
What would you like me to call you? Nancy? No. I know too many Nancys. Sarah? That's special enough. Elvira? I know. I'll call you Roxanne. Do you like that? I met a particularly memorable Roxanne once on Risa.
Ooh.
And you can call me Eric, of course.
Please proceed to the science laboratory, Eric.
You love it. I knew you would.
He arrives at the science lab.
Now, Roxanne, what do you want me to show you in the...
Other way around, Jake.
What did you want to show me?
Now, Roxanne, what did you want to show me in the...
He stops dead at what he sees in the middle of the laboratory. A hovering bassinet with a newborn human baby in it.
What?
Sung steps closer to it, profound wonder in his eyes.
Where did this come from, Roxanne? Roxanne? Tell me where this baby came from.
She doesn't respond. Sung pulls out a handheld device and starts scanning the baby.
There, little guy. We'll figure out where you belong after I run some... Oh. Now that's unusual. Roxanne, would you care to explain this?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Why does this baby have my DNA?
Compensation for repair of your vessel has been initiated.
Wait. This is what you wanted the larva for? To make a copy of me? Why?
Your offer of services has been approved.
All you said was that you wanted those ugly slugs. You didn't say you wanted to use them to clone me. What do you want the baby for?
Your offer of services has been approved. Services will soon be required.
What services? When are you going to let me out of here?
Services will soon be required.
That's not what I... Wait. Clones grown from these larvae only live for a couple of weeks, don't they?
He quickly looks through his device for info on Lycerian desert larvae, scrolling and reading with immediacy.
15 days? You want a clone of me that will live for 15 days? What? Is this a two-man job you need me to tackle for you? Or?
Services will soon be required.
I don't understand.
Wah! Wah! The baby starts crying. Sung picks him up.
No, it's all right. Let's go get you a bottle. At least you'll grow up fast, baby Eric. It'll be nice to have some real company around here.
Sung starts carrying the baby back to the recreation area.
Baby back, baby back, baby back.
We're not done talking about this, Roxanne.
The science lab doors close behind him. The scene fades. Interior, the recreation area, a few days later. Sung and Eric, too, now a child of about 8 years, sit at a table. Eric, too, is playing with some kind of futuristic video game equivalent, while Sung is reading about Lycerian desert larvae.
Have you seen some of the shit this Denobulan has done and felt justified doing? Christ. And that guy thought I was unethical. At least I feel guilty for things. See, right here. He once used one of these larvae to essentially grow himself a walking organ bag to harvest, knowing full well that the clone was going to have to be murdered for his brain tissue. He let the poor guy on until his demise. So Roxanne must have read these letters.
I don't like Roxanne.
That's not nice. She gave you life. She gave me an apprentice.
She won't play games with me.
No, I suppose she won't. But she's really busy running the station, isn't she?
I guess. But Mom always says she wants me making friends, not playing in my room by myself.
How do you know about that?
She says it all the time.
You have memories of our mother?
Of course I do.
And you're at that stage of development, huh? Well, sorry to say, it's going to get worse before it gets better, Eric.
I just wish there were other kids for me to play with.
Well, you've got me. And I could use your help if we want to extend your lifespan to a normal length.
I'm only 8.
That's just how it feels. You're actually 2 days old, and the clock is ticking. According to Phlox's logs, there should be a way, and we've got a couple days to work it out.
No, I mean, I don't get this dumb gene stuff.
Well, maybe not yet, but soon.
Genetics is too hard. Can't I just play games for a while?
Why was I such a petulant little... Never mind. By tomorrow, you'll be past this phase and well on your way to being my progeny. Keeping the Soong name going. Maybe righting some of my wrongs.
Look, I finished this level. Watch this. I'm going to play the next one with my eyes closed.
The game makes an erroneous noise.
Bloopity bloop bloop bloop. Oops.
Boo, 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 boo.
That's nice, Eric. Maybe next time.
The scene fades. Interior, a few days later, the science lab. The clone, Sung 2, has now developed to the stage of adulthood, roughly in his 30s, still younger than the original Sung. He is busily working with some generic science experiment stuff.
Roxanne, please test the newest enzyme proposal against my brain tissue. I think we're finally getting somewhere.
Negative. Experiment will result in catastrophic brain failure.
Just kidding then. Back to the proverbial drawing board. Dr. Soong! Dr. Soong, come look at this. Roxanne, locate Dr. Soong.
Dr. Sung is in the recreation area.
Sung 2 exits the lab and starts walking down the hallways to the recreation area.
Only we had a full lab complement. How long until the repairs onto the Denobulan vessel are finished, Roxanne?
Compensation for repair of your vessel has been initiated.
I'm aware of that. But when do you foresee that happening?
Services will soon be required.
I don't know if you've noticed, but you're not going to have me around very long if we don't solve...
He stops in the recreation area to see Sung collapsed on the floor. Sung 2 rushes to him, pulling out some handheld device and waving it over him.
Dr. Soong!
He reads the data streaming on the device, concern in his visage, turning to outright panic. He touches the face of his older counterpart.
He's dead. Oh no. Oh no. Roxanne? Roxanne, how did this happen?
Medical analysis indicates a cease in life functions caused by myocardial infarction.
You're going to have to do better than telling me that he had a heart attack. What caused it?
Myocardial infarction in humans can be caused by coronary artery disease, atherosclerotic disease, coronary artery spasm, spontaneous coronary...
This is a disaster, Roxanne. Don't you understand? Can you do anything to save him?
Resuscitation of a deceased human is not possible.
Fucking hell. I've only got another week here to figure this out. There's no way I can do this on my own. I need him.
Services will soon be required.
You heartless bitch. There's no time. Whatever you need, I can't do it in time, and I can't lengthen my lifespan without him. You've doomed me. I'm doomed.
We can suddenly hear a sound from somewhere. Sung Tu stands and listens intently, eyes frantic, until it becomes clear what it is. It's another baby crying.
Eric, please proceed to the science laboratory.
My God. Roxanne, what have you done?
The scene ends on Sung Tu walking dejectedly out of the recreation area in the direction of the science lab. Chapter 3. The Clones. Interior, the science laboratory. A few days later. Sung Tu is now an older man, while the repair station has a new inhabitant, Eric III, a teen. The two are working together on some more science.
Do you remember when Dr. Soong, the first Dr. Soong, showed me this?
I think so. It's screwing with my head because his memories are clarifying at the same time as yours.
That's a good thing. You'll have experience from both of us. We should be able to lengthen our lifespans together.
It's a little disorienting.
I'm only 11 days old. There really shouldn't be that much content from my end.
Tell that to my brain.
Focus, Eric. The Valandon Circle experiments.
Right. They developed an enzyme to slow the aging process of medic symbionts to normal.
Dr. Soong had hacked into the Lyssarian databases for info on the Valandron Circle. Read this.
It's pointless, isn't it? There's no proof that they got anywhere. They could have just been some mad scientists.
Takes one to know one. And I don't think they were mad scientists.
That's encouraging.
If there's any clue to how to do this, it's here.
I read that thing already. I read it when I was you, and there's nothing there the first time.
Eric!
Don't you get it? It's all a myth!
Eric III storms off.
Fucking teenagers. What I wouldn't give to have Persis and Saul instead. Even Malik. Fucking weirdo. Those were the days.
The scene fades. A couple more days later, Sung Tu is asleep in his quarters when the voice of Sung III, now a young adult, wakes him.
Dr. Soong, I could use your help in the lab.
Sung Tu awakens and gets up. He's very old now. He touches a panel on the wall.
What is it, Eric? You've got to see this. It could change everything. I can't do old Soong and young Soong voice at the same time.
I need an old Soong and a young Soong.
Anyway.
Sung Tu totters down the hall, so excited that he doesn't even look into Sung III's quarters to see his younger clone eerily asleep inside. The older man enters the empty science lab and looks around.
Eric?
He goes to read some of the displays left open at the lab bench, but when he touches them, something kerzaps him!
Ah!
Sung Tu drops to the floor, writhes for a moment, and then goes still. Little robot arms pop out of various places in the lab and lift him away.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, the commotion has awoken Sung III.
Dr. Soong? Did you hear something?
He goes over to Sung III's quarters to find the old man, or perfect facsimile, dead in his bed.
Damn it.
Here's where it gets fun.
Yeah.
The scene transitions into a sort of medley of Sung scenelets, spanning many generations of Sungs at different life stages. The scenelets create a montage indicating that this has been going on for a long, long time, and the iterations of Sungs get crazier and crazier.
Oh my God.
We shift to Sung 10, pacing the diagnostic center.
Roxanne, what are the services you require?
Compensation for repair of your vessel has been initiated.
I'd like to conclude the compensation. What do you say I take a whack at fixing the vessel myself?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Okay, I'll be direct. Let me into the hangar bay.
Personnel are required to vacate areas that are undergoing reconstruction.
Then stop the reconstruction and let me in there.
Your inquiry was not recognized.
It's like talking to a particularly stupid parrot.
A new baby Sung cries to mark the transition. Wah! An older Sung 50 reads over a tablet with Eric 51, the latest teenage Sung.
I read this already.
Not with those eyes. Read it again.
I've got it memorized by now. Individuals representing the Velandran Circle have conducted illegal experiments on Lysarian desert larvae with inconclusive results. All individuals have been incarcerated for violating the Lysarian Prime Conclave's prohibition of medic symbiotes.
Skip to the good part.
We've tried it all before. Each time, it is experiment will result in catastrophic brain failure. We're not going to crack it.
All I wanted was to become a cyberneticist.
You've got 3 more days to live if you want to try to rush through a degree.
We have to solve this. I know it feels like you've got all the time in the world right now, but that's the wrong Soong doing the thinking.
We're fucked.
Read it again.
Scene transition. Wah, wah, wah. Soong 133 sits in the recreation area while rocking the next baby, who is sleeping in a cradle.
Roxanne, where do the bodies go?
Human remains are disposed of.
Where do they go?
Human remains are disposed of.
I want you to show me where the last Dr. Soong is. What you did with him. Did you cremate him? Did you expel him into space?
Human remains are disposed of.
You know what I think? I think you're keeping them. I think you have a pile of me's somewhere on this station, like some fetishist. What are you doing with them, Roxanne?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Real original. One more time for the people in the back.
Your inquiry was not recognized.
There we go.
Scene transition. Wah, wah, wah. Soong 171 is popping pills from the replicator and holding his aching head. Eric 172, the latest child-sized clone, is nearby.
Okay, Malik, time for your lessons.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to you, Malik. We're going to the lab.
Who's Malik?
You're Malik. You're Eric. I'm Eric. We're all Eric.
Maybe we shouldn't do lessons today?
No. Tomorrow you'll be me, and it will be too late. Come on, to the lab.
They walk off to the lab, Eric 172 looking concerned. Another transition. Wah, wah, wah. Eric 363, a teen-sized one, is fiddling with the computer screens in the lab. Soong 362 is doing some sciencey thing at a lab bench.
The Lysarians have to have more information somewhere. I've hacked some more of the gated files.
Find anything?
The computer's combing the data.
Good.
15 days is not enough time to make a dent in this.
Nope.
Especially when several of them are spent raising the next generation.
Uh-huh. I've done it.
You have? What is it? How did you...
Soong 362 steps away from the lab bench to reveal what he's been working on. It's a potato that he's carved to look like it has boobs.
I call it potito.
I'm going back to bed.
Scene transition. Wah, 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 wah. Soong 544, an old man, pleads pathetically with Roxanne in the diagnostic room.
You're going to spawn another baby soon. Can't you please use different DNA?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
The DNA of the first Dr. Soong. Use that DNA for the new symbiote. Give him a chance.
Human remains are disposed of.
You must have a trace somewhere. The memories? It's too many memories. I can't tell where I begin and 100 other Soongs end. Don't use my DNA. Don't torture another generation.
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Or how about this? Let me edit the embryo DNA. I've never even seen the Lysarian larvae since they were retrieved. Where are they?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Or stop creating mimetic symbiotes. Let it be done.
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Damn it. This is the last thing I'll do. What do you want from us?
Services will soon be required.
Services will soon be required.
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Your inquiry
was not recognized. Your inquiry was not recognized.
You guys are great. The younger, Soong 545, radios him, or does he?
Dr. Sung, I could use your help in the lab.
Sung 544 shuffles off to his death.
Wow.
More baby songs! Always more baby songs. Eric 690, a
Nice.
child of...
Both did it.
Excellent. A child of maybe 4 is trying to smash the console in the recreation area. Sung 689 is staring catatonically at an entire pie he's replicated.
Delicious.
Smash,
Oh my God, I'm so
smash,
sorry.
Smash.
Any damage to these facilities will be charged to your vessel.
I don't care. I hate you.
Eric, what kind of pie is this?
Why don't you do an experiment and find out?
An experiment.
Yeah, you love experiments, don't you? Like this!
Eric 690 comes and pies Sung at 689 in the face.
690 is my favorite song.
Ah, that explains it. It's face pie.
Eric 690 and Sung 689 laugh and laugh. I've gone insane writing this. It's great. But there are yet more baby songs. Their crying is constant because they are constant. Another song, Sung 1505, is holding a drooling baby and weeping openly in the middle of the lab. Another scenelet, Sung 1903, is in the lab making the same enzyme over and over again.
Experiment will result in catastrophic brain failure. Experiment will result in catastrophic brain failure. Experiment will result in catastrophic brain failure.
The crying has morphed into the background cacophony. There's fisheye lens camera work all over the place as the scene shifts to another moment. Sung 2545 is immensely drunk in the middle of the diagnostic room, holding a bottle of booze and shouting at the walls.
Roxanne! You bitch!
You finally found your Sung impression. It's perfect.
If you had a mouth, I'd give you a punch in the... You fucking bitch! I'm going home. Where's my blasted ship?
Compensation for repair of your vessel has been initiated.
Shut up. Compemflation my ass. Where was I on this page? What the fuck? I found.
Okay.
There's never going to be any
He takes a swig from the bottle. Eric, 2546, a child of 3 or so, runs past in his underwear, whooping,
Woo!
looking practically feral and brandishing a spatula like a sword.
I'll take you down with me, Roxanne. I'm going to... Roxanne.
He punches one of the monitors, dropping his bottle on the floor with shatters everywhere, and then slips in the spilled liquid and collides with the floor. He stares up at the ceiling despondently.
Any damage to these facilities will be charged to your vessel.
Damn you, Phlox.
The scene fades out on the diagnostic room in disrepair as little arms come out and repair the smashed monitor. Whew. Chapter 4, last one. The Progeny. Interior, the recreation area. A young adult Sung 4448 is sitting at a table, knitting an absurdly long scarf, clearly the product of many generations' work, that takes up a large section of the room.
Eric, please proceed to the science laboratory.
No. Not again. Not another one. Please, please, please.
Please proceed to the science laboratory.
Is it another baby, Roxanne? It's always another baby, Roxanne.
He proceeds down the hall to the science lab. It's another baby.
Roxanne.
Oh, why didn't I just stay in the prison? I could have been so happy there.
He takes a medical tricorder and starts to scan the baby.
But no. Evidently, I've done something to deserve thousands of generations of torment. Can't one of my lives be happy? Can't one?
He notices something on the tricorder and stares at it for a long time, as if it doesn't make any sense.
Well, this doesn't make any sense. This baby doesn't have the rapid aging gene. He's normal.
Compensation for repair of your vessel has been completed.
He's perfect.
Thank you for your visit.
Is it done?
Thank you for your visit.
Oh my god! Finally I can go. We're going to go. My vessel. Before you change your mind.
He starts toward the shuttle bay with the baby in his arms. It hits him.
Wait a minute. How have I never thought of this? I've got, what, 8 days left? He's still a baby. Who's going to raise him?
Your inquiry was not recognized.
Roxanne, I need you to do whatever you did to this baby to me.
Procedure is not viable on developed life forms.
You fucked me again, Roxanne. I can't possibly raise this child. I won't even live long enough to see him grow out of his onesie. 8 days? I can't do anything in 8 days.
You are permitted to stay on the station.
Oh. You'd like that, wouldn't you? This is what you wanted all along. No matter what happened, you were pulling the strings. So I have 2 choices. I can stay here, and you're going to have to create even more rapid aging clones so that there's someone to raise this baby. Or I can take my chances in the shuttle and get him a maximum of 8 days away. Is that right?
You are permitted to stay on the station.
Uh-huh. If that's what you want, I'm not going to do it. We're leaving. This baby deserves a new start anywhere but here. He's assumed he'll survive for all of us.
He carries the baby onto the shuttlecraft, which looks as good as new.
Thank you for your visit.
Fuck off.
The door to the shuttlecraft closes, and after a moment, the thing flies away. Exterior, the campus of some kind of science academy. It's 8 days later, and Sung 4448 is the oldest we've seen him yet. He walks the grounds in the middle of the night, carrying a bassinet with the baby in it. We listen to his final recording.
To whoever discovered... he recorded this before he was old.
Sure.
To whoever discovered this child, my name is Dr. Eric Soong. Perhaps you've heard of me? Perhaps you're wondering, didn't that bastard die 125 years ago? You don't know how right you are. The child you found is also me, in a way. But that's not important. What's important is that he persists. Educate him in the sciences. I think you'll find him strangely adept at picking up concepts that most people wouldn't give the time of day. Nurture that. He comes from a long line of scientists who have put a lot of expectation into this on his little shoulders. He'll live up to it. See to that. Let him make mistakes. Give him the occasional tiramisu. Teach him about girls. Give him a normal life.
The elderly Sung 4448 plods to the entrance of a building and sets the bassinet down before the threshold. We only see the baby being cute, but can hear the old man collapse on the pavement.
His name is Noonien.
Scene fades. End of film!
Wow, dude.
Very good.
Bravo.
I enjoyed that.
Holy shit.
Very good. Very
Thank
cool.
you for going fully crazy with it.
Yeah, seriously, your Sung impression seemed to get better the crazier Sung got, which I feel is not...
Soong just has to be crazy.
Yeah, crazy is Soong's natural state.
Right.
That is true.
Like, whether he likes it or not, Noonien likes it or not, lore is the most natural air.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
like
no
that.
notes. Very good.
That was like if they let Star Trek go full Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I did some slight math to be like, okay, how many Sungs deep will it go? Oh god, that's a lot of Sungs. Oh god.
Oh my god.
If I want it to be, because the natural end is Noonien.
Yeah.
Like, it explains a lot of things.
It does.
Always two there are.
Oh man.
Nice.
And that leaves us with... I won't even bother spinning the wheel.
No, I want to hear the sound.
We need to
Okay,
spin the wheel.
we'll spin the wheel.
Wait, and who am I? Lily and...
Okay, yeah, I'll say it again once we after we spin the
Spin.
wheel, just to make sure it's actually me.
Spin, spin, spin.
Just to make sure it's actually me.
And the answer is Jake.
Whoa!
Yay, okay.
Applause.
Yeah, so be prepared for disappointment because this is not nearly as well put together as any of the previous ones we've heard today. But we're ending on a low note.
Oh, no.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm not super happy with it.
Look, the title has me fucking jazzed.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. So I will read the title.
Who were your picks?
Well, first of all, yeah. Okay. My picks were so I had to choose either Mayweather or Hoshi. I managed to get them both in. But we'll get to that.
But I had to split the lines of one character among the two of them, so it's more of the same.
George and Walter will have to share
and
a
then
script.
the compulsory picks were Mistral from Carbon Creek, the Vulcan that stays behind on Earth.
To bang that woman.
To bang that woman
All
and
right.
her son. Well, we don't know if they're banging the son, but you never know. Vulcans are weird. And Zephram Cochrane, the inventor of warp drive. So
that crazy drunkard in Montana.
That crazy drunkard in Montana. So yeah, so the title of my piece, now remember it does involve Mayweather, so the title of my piece is The Greatest Prank Ever Pulled.
Yes. Already aces.
All right, I will read the stage directions as we do. Ames, you will be reading for the characters Mistral and T'Pol.
Having a really Vulcan day over
you got you're Vulcaning again. Caitlin, I'm going to have you read for Lily and Hoshi.
Okie dokie.
Chris is reading for Travis
Ooh.
and Mayweather.
Fascinating.
That'll
Be
make,
interesting to find out what that is.
that'll make sense as we go.
Eric, 4,400.
I mean, it's going to make sense in the first sentence. So.
Okay.
And I will read for Zephram Cochrane, Sotek, who is an original character, and Trip, who is Trip. So, here we go. And this is written as a screenplay, so... Interior, the Stanford Propulsion and Space Exploration Group Lab afternoon. Fade in to reveal the Advanced Propulsion Laboratory at Stanford University, California. The lab is in a state of disarray with boxes of papers and envelopes marked top secret scattered about. Graduate student Lily Sloan flutters about hastily sorting through piles of papers and placing some into boxes while others go into the trash. Her husband, Travis Sloan, also a graduate student, stands in front of a whiteboard covered in equations and engineering diagrams, seemingly oblivious to the chaos around him. Lily picks up an envelope, opens it, and considers its contents for a moment.
Antimatter conversion ratio test results, Group B. We shouldn't need these anymore, right? Travis?
Huh?
The results for the Group B antimatter conversion ratio tests?
Right. Trash it.
I spent 4 weeks modeling the reaction chamber dynamics for this test. Seems a shame to just shred it. Oh well.
She throws the envelope into the trash. She continues going through the documents. Most go into the trash. After a moment...
You know, this would go a lot faster with 2 people.
I'll stop. I'm sorry. It's just... This is fucked up. We're close. Like, weeks away. Close. They can't just shut us down now.
They can, and they have. The Department of Energy has declared the entire area at risk of potential invasion.
I know, but let's be real, though. If the Econ attacks, they're not going to storm the beaches of Half Moon Bay. They're going to nuke us from orbit, and we'll be reduced to ash in the blink of an eye.
Real nice, Travis.
You know what this research could mean. For humanity, virtually limitless energy, access to off-world resources. There'd be nothing left to fight over. And maybe we could leave this rock and all this bullshit behind.
And go where exactly? From where I'm standing, this is the only rock we've got. Even if this thing works, we're still decades away from a practical engine, let alone a spaceship.
I know.
Look, I know how important this is to you. To us. And it does feel like we're close to something big. This isn't the end, T. When this whole thing blows over, we'll build your spaceship.
They embrace. Whoa! Get a room, you two! Zephram Cochrane enters. While the same age as Travis, years of drinking and drug use has taken its toll, and he looks significantly older. He's wearing a stained Led Zeppelin t-shirt and is wearing sunglasses. He's carrying a case of beer and looks ready to party. Lily rolls her eyes when she notices him, clearly fed up with his shit. Travis seems excited to see him.
Zeph!
The one and only. The two friends approach and execute a complicated handshake.
Aw.
Lily is not impressed.
Wow, Zeph, it's only 3 p.m. Seems a little early for you to be up.
I love you too.
It's good you're here. Process we need to be fully cleared up by Friday night. All the drives have been wiped, and we have to just have the hard copies to deal with.
Don't sweat it. I'll chat with the Meister. Buy us some more time.
Good luck with that. This comes from the government.
They've got bigger fish to fry. Besides, I've taken care of everything.
What's that supposed to mean?
Lily, my dear, I've got 2 words for you. Bozeman, Montana.
Bozeman, Montana. What's there?
You know, besides nothing.
Zephram slams the case of beer down on a table and cracks open 3 cold ones. He hands one to Travis. He tries to hand one to Lily, who instead crosses her arms. Unfazed, Zephram decides to 2-fist it. Salvation. Scene 2, interior, the office of Professor Paul J. Mistral, Stanford University. Evening. Professor Mistral sits stoically behind the desk in his sparsely decorated office. Outwardly, he appears to be a man of about 70, but in reality he is a Vulcan who is nearly 150 years old. Not even his students are aware of his true identity. Travis and Lily are seated across from him, while Zephram stands, having just pitched his Montana idea. There's a long pause before Mistral speaks.
These people, they are criminals?
No. They're in the militia. You know, like George Washington or Sam Adams, freedom fighters.
I see. And they have access to an advanced aerospace propulsion laboratory with facilities for antimatter experimentation.
Not yet. But they're working on it. I mean, we'll have to help them, you know. Tell them what you buy and maybe borrow some equipment from the university on the down low. But they're committed.
And how are you connected to these people?
I've known them my whole life. I grew up out there, remember? Plus, my cousin is a member. He put in a good word and made some introductions.
Tell them what they expect in return.
Right. Yeah, so I may have had to tell a little white lie about what we're...
He told them it was a bomb.
Mistral raises an eyebrow at this and leans in. Not a bomb, exactly. I just explained the basics of antimatter theory and implied that there could be, potentially, some military applications.
It's crazy, Professor. We shouldn't have even brought it up. Just silly, really. We're sorry to have bothered you.
Travis starts to stand.
Tell them we accept.
What?
Contact the people in Montana and make the necessary arrangements.
I'm sorry, Professor, did you miss the part where these nut jobs want us to build them an antimatter bomb?
I did not, Miss Sloane. You are all well aware of the importance of this research and its potential impact on the future of this planet. Terminating the warp program at this time would be illogical. Mr. Cochrane's contacts in Montana have presented us an opportunity to continue this work. Logic dictates that we must accept their offer.
Faust said the same thing.
Scene 3. Same office, but at night. Later that evening, Mistral is alone, packing boxes. A figure appears in the doorway. Mistral notices, but doesn't look up.
If you are here for office hours, you'll have to come back tomorrow.
The figure takes a step into the room. I've come to take you home, Mistral. Mistral looks up as the figure steps into the light. It's a Vulcan man, Sotek. He appears quite a bit younger than Mistral. Mistral knows the jig is up. The High Command has determined that your mission on Earth has concluded, and you're to return with me to Vulcan immediately. Mistral is taken aback, as much as a Vulcan can't be taken aback.
My mission ended 90 years ago. I have decided to remain here of my own volition.
The High Command chose to allow you to continue your mission indefinitely to more closely monitor the development of this civilization. Otherwise, you would have been retrieved long ago.
Then I wish to continue monitoring the civilization.
That is no longer possible. Continued observation would serve no logical purpose, as we have deemed humans unsuitable for contact. We now believe that their self-destruction is imminent.
I disagree with that assessment. I believe the humans are on the verge of an awakening.
I just want to note the line note there, the read note was snaps Vulcanly, which I love.
Sotek approaches Mistral, assessing him. He notices that Mistral's ears have been surgically modified to appear more human.
Whoa.
You have altered your appearance. Perhaps your affinity for these people has affected your judgment. The High Command is confident that the current political tensions will escalate into a global conflict within the next 6 months. Given the humans' capacity for destruction, it is highly probable that their annihilation will soon follow.
The High Command hasn't been here. While it is true that war appears likely, there is still hope for this civilization. They are a resilient and resourceful people. The work being done in this lab is proof of that. I estimate they are only a few years away from a functional warp reactor.
It is only through your interference that they have made any progress at all. Mistral is becoming visibly frustrated.
That's simply untrue.
I see that this conversation has distressed you. You will return with me to Vulcan. He produces a small datapad from his cloak and places it on the desk. The location of my vessel is encoded on here. If you do not come willingly within 2 days, I have been authorized to coerce your return by any means necessary. It is time to come home. Sotek leaves. Mistral stands motionless for a moment before he violently throws the box he was packing across the room, scattering its contents.
Rah!
Fade to black. Back in the propulsion lab, scene 4, the next morning. The next day, in fact. The lab has been mostly cleared of clutter. Only a few neatly stacked boxes remain. Travis and Lily are standing at the whiteboard, having just sketched out a diagram of a warp reactor. Zephram is seated at a nearby workstation with his feet up on a lab table. He's sipping from a bottle wrapped in a brown paper bag.
I think it'll work.
It'll probably work.
It might work.
Definitely.
You think?
I do.
Me too.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, fuck off, Zeph. This is big.
You've been staring at that diagram for 20 minutes! It'll work. No, it won't. Yes, it will. I know it will.
Shut up! You're the engineer. Do you think it'll work?
I think it's got equal chances of either working or creating a fireball visible from Mars.
I'll take those odds.
Zephram gets up and takes a closer look at the diagram. The coil's too small. Zephram starts writing out equations on the whiteboard. He narrates as he writes. I figure the reactor has to be putting out, let's say, 1.21 petajoules per second, roughly. Best case scenario, we maybe capture 75 to 80% of that as plasma.
You're overestimating it. The warp bubble should be able to perform at around 0.7 pj per second.
Sure. If we're dealing with only superconductors, there's going to be a lot of copper in this thing.
He's right.
Lily grabs the marker from Zephram and finishes the equations he was writing.
It'll need to be at least 30% bigger. Any smaller and it would melt within seconds from the heat. Your spaceship would be stranded a few million miles from Earth with no warp coil.
As I said, too small. Zephram goes back to his seat and takes a celebratory sip of whatever poison he's been drinking. That's what I like about you, Sloane. You get it. Travis, you're all theory.
Yeah, well, we would have figured it out anyway.
Lily finishes the calculations, erases the number that had been written on the diagram, and plugs in the new value. Now it'll work. Mistral enters, looking somewhat perturbed. Morning, Prof. Look at what your star pupils did.
Have you spoken to your contacts in Montana?
Yeah, it's all set up. We even gave them a shopping list.
Good. We will leave tonight.
Tonight? I thought we had until Friday.
Kind of short notice.
The situation has changed.
What about all the equipment? We haven't even finished packing up the lab.
We will take as much as we can.
What about the antimatter?
Yeah, it's not like we can just throw it in the back of a pickup. The entire containment vessel will have to come with us.
Even then, it needs constant power.
We will have to produce more on site.
That's going to be difficult unless Zephram's militia friends happen to be hiding a particle accelerator in their survival bunker. It took us half a year to produce 2 grams of antideuterium, and that was with a state-of-the-art collider.
Mistral considers for a moment.
There may be another way.
Same location the next morning. A small brown capsule about the size of a watermelon sits on the table in the lab. Zephram, Lily, and Travis are standing around the table studying it intently. Mistral is seated nearby.
How is this possible? There must be over a kilogram in there.
1.37 kilograms, approximately.
And it's completely stable. How?
A contact at the DOE who owed me a favor.
Must have been some favor. This is some next level Area 51 type shit. There's no way we're supposed to have this.
There's enough antideuterium here to sustain our experiments for decades.
Or build one kick-ass warp reactor. The 3 students look up at each other, realizing that this is real. Mistral stands, looking somewhat forlorn.
Indeed, Mr. Cochran. The antimatter in that pod should be more than sufficient to fuel the engine prototype.
So, that's it then. The rest of the equipment is already loaded into the truck. We can leave tonight.
I'm afraid I will not be joining you in Montana.
What? Why?
In exchange for the antimatter, I have agreed to work for the government.
Well, then give it back. We can't do this without you.
She's right, Professor. We'll find some other way to synthesize the antimatter. There's no way we could build a prototype without your guidance.
Mistral raises his hand to stop them speaking. He walks over to the whiteboard, which still has the prototype design sketched out.
You do not need me. I have every confidence in your skills as engineers and scientists. The design is sound, and you will now have all of the resources you need to build it. But you must do it on your own. I cannot help you further.
Will you join us later? Will we see you again?
That I cannot say. Know that I am proud of the work that you have accomplished, and that I have every confidence in your skills as scientists and engineers.
No, I just copied the line from...
Neat. Your work, I believe, has the potential to usher in a new era for humanity.
A long pause. Zephram realizes something. Hold that thought. He rushes over to a cupboard labeled office supplies, opens it, and fishes around inside for a moment before pulling out a bottle of whiskey and 4 shot glasses. The others stare at him.
Is there any place in this lab you haven't hidden booze?
What? It's my rainy day fund. Besides, this is the good stuff. Zephram returns and places the shot glass on the table. He uncorks the bottle and haphazardly pours the shots, spilling quite a bit in the process. Finally, he picks up one of the shot glasses and raises it. Travis and Lily follow suit after a moment.
I do not imbibe alcohol, but exceptions can be made.
Mistral picks up a glass and holds it up with the others. I've never been one for speeches, so I'll just say, to a new era for humanity.
To the warp program.
To you, Professor.
All 3 students nod to this. Mistral appears close to tears.
To peace and long life.
Hear, hear! All 4 raise their glasses and down the spirit. Zephram flaps his arms like a bird and lets out an audible whoa! Lily and Travis try to suppress their reaction to the strong alcohol and almost succeed. Mistral looks at the empty glass as if to say, not bad. They all stand in a meaningful silence for a long moment. Well, we should get going if we want to make Reno by nightfall. Zephram holds out his hand to the professor. It's been real. Mistral shakes Zephram's hand, who promptly pulls him in for a bro hug. As Zephram steps back, Lily comes forward and wipes away the tear forming in her eye.
We will build it, Professor.
Mistral just nods. He holds out his hand to shake, but Lily ignores it and goes straight for the tender hug. It's then Travis's turn.
I don't know how to thank you for...
Thank me through your work. Take humanity to the stars.
Travis nods, holding back a deluge of emotion. He embraces Mistral strongly and holds for a long moment. As he backs away, he sees something he'd never seen before. Tears welling up in the professor's eyes. Zephram picks up the antimatter pod and makes his way out of the lab, followed by Lily. Travis takes a final survey of the lab before turning to leave. Mistral stands in the empty lab, completely overcome with emotion. After a moment, he composes himself and begins erasing the reactor diagram from the whiteboard. Fade to black. Scene 6. Enterprise Mess Hall. Hoshi, Trip, T'Pol, and Mayweather is seated in the mess hall. All attention is on Mayweather as he finishes telling his story.
After that, the rest is history.
I just can't believe the professor didn't go with them.
I just still can't get over the part where you're actually related to Lily and Travis Sloan. I mean, they're basically legends. I went to Lily Sloan High School, for Christ's sake. How have you not told us this before?
I guess it just never came up.
It's an amazing story, Travis.
Indeed, but a story nonetheless. The details seem implausible.
I mean, it's a family story, so I'm sure some of it has been lost to time, but that's how it was always told to me.
It seems highly unlikely that humans of that period would possess the technology to construct an antimatter storage pod of the type you described.
Do you know whatever happened to the professor? Did they ever see him again?
Not that I know of. I think everyone just assumed that he went missing during the war. So many did back then.
He was so instrumental. Yet history doesn't even know he existed.
If he existed.
Well, I, for one, believe it. Anyway, I'm late for bridge duty.
Me too.
They all stand and start to leave. As they walk out, you got any other family stories about the Sloans or Cochrane?
A few have been passed down. Remind me later to tell you the one about when Zephram Cochrane entered a hot dog eating contest.
No kidding. Fade to black. Scene 7. Final scene. Somewhere deep in the woods at night. A small Vulcan starship rests in a clearing. A vehicle approaches. The door to the spacecraft opens and a walkway slides out to the ground. Sotek steps out. The car stops and Mistral emerges. I am gratified that you have chosen to return willingly. Mistral says nothing. He starts up the ramp into the ship. Sotek turns to go back in, but just before they enter the ship, Mistral neck pinches Sotek, who collapses unconscious.
I am truly sorry, friend. I will return with you, but there's something I must do first.
Mistral enters the ship. Fade to black. End.
Yay.
Ooh.
And that's the prank. Mistral starts World War III.
Yeah.
Typical
That was great.
Mistral.
The prank, in case you were wondering, is the title. And you are the victims.
Oh no! I thought the prank was going to be Sotek takes Mayweather instead, and or rather takes Travis instead, and then he becomes Mayweather.
Oh my god.
I quite enjoyed young Zephram. That felt accurate to what I would imagine. And especially being related to a Montana militia weirdo.
Right.
Yeah.
That tracks. I was gonna make it more like he was what was that character, that movie about the guy that stays in school for like forever? He just keeps he's way older than everybody else. What the fuck is that movie?
Benjamin Button.
No. Is it like...
It's not the Adam Sandler movie.
No.
Not Back to School.
No, that's where he goes back to school. It's like the party animal that stays in school
Real Genius?
Oh yeah, I guess this happens in Real Genius too. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not that old in that one.
No, but that tracks too.
Yeah, the film. I'm unfamiliar with the film you're thinking of.
I don't know either. I could have sworn there was a movie like that.
Oh, there probably is. I just don't know it.
But anyway.
Jake has linked it here.
Have I?
No.
Maybe.
Either way, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was great.
Hey, nice.
Everybody was great.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It was a good time. A good batch.
And hey, they're up on the Tumblr in case you want to read them with your
God.
friends.
Yeah.
Mine will have a title.
Yeah, mine will too, probably.
Well then, what's next? Well, before we dive into the Kelvin timeline, we're going to have one more little 10 forward. We've decided, as we transition out of what is basically the initial run of terrestrial Star Trek, we're going to sit around and bandy about some thoughts and ideas and some impressions and some things. Kind of a recap for an era, effectively. Because, the Kelvin timeline semi stands on its own, but does connect through some staff into the Paramount Plus streaming era. So, they're their own distinct things. And, when we started this is most of what Star Trek was. The movies were out and Discovery Season 1 was filming, but Star Trek itself was kind of complete at that stage. And we're gonna just kind of talk about it in a general way, I think. This is my idea, so if it doesn't work, mea culpa. Join us for that. Follow us on Facebook and your favorite podcasting application. We're on the SoundCloud and the Tumblr where these stories will be posted. Thank you, as always, for joining us. This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is always Jake.
Except for when he's sober.
Many versions of Jake.
Have you seen some of this shit denobulin?